Welcome back. I am your host, Micah and I am broadcasting from Western Illinois University, WIU, in Macomb, Illinois. I think we've had a lot of powerful readings tonight, all around the idea of entering into mankind's struggle for faith in God, struggle for faith in humanity. And I think it's such an appropriate thing to enter into this week of Ash Wednesday as we Catholics and many other Christians around the world prepare to enter into the season of Lent. Next on the Poet's Corner, I would like to read to you a new poem by yours truly, which I wrote this week, and it's entitled Selling Signs. And I was thinking about the first segment, the Langston Hughes piece, and about the necessity of not only providing something in words, but also in action and providing love, fidelity, friendship in one's presence. So, this poem is entitled Selling Signs, and I hope when you read the poem you'll see how well it fits into the theme tonight. Selling Signs. Selling signs, selling signs. I knew a man who sold signs and created much confusion. A man saw a sign, shirts 2 for 1, and went in with hope for brand new clothes. But the sign alone was for sale, no shirts here. Alas for the patron, who needed both sign and substance. I looked then and saw the cart of a street vendor, selling postcards, pictures of Jesus, fair-skinned, blue eyes and long hair. Then I heard a whisper within, don't sell signs, it leaves your neighbor naked. What is needed, cannot be sold, only given, both in sign and in substance, sign and substance. Here we are, out in the cold. Don't be selling signs, it leaves your neighbor naked. And that is Selling Signs by Micah, yours truly, and I hope you liked it. As I prepare to wrap up this edition of the Poet's Corner, I'd like to share with you a story that I've experienced this week of Ash Wednesday. The first segment of the Poet's Corner, the Langston Hughes segment, I recorded on Fat Tuesday. And this segment, normally I record all the segments in the same day, but this segment is actually being recorded after Ash Wednesday. And I wanted to share with you a story about my Ash Wednesday, and just wanted to tell you about it. And I guess I call this story, Why Ash Wednesday, Why? On Ash Wednesday, it's a day of prayer and fasting. We Catholics are supposed to have 2 small meals and 1 smaller regular-sized meal. And so I went to the Italian restaurant Aurelio's for lunch. A friend of mine wanted to celebrate after our successful English midterm. And so for one of my small meals, I ordered a half order of cheese tortellini, not wanting to betray my new Lenten fast. Unfortunately, by mistake, the waiter brought out a full order of cheese tortellini. He told me, "Oh, don't worry, we made a mistake. We know you only ordered a half order, but we brought out a full order. Don't worry, you'll only be charged for a half order." This would never happen to me on any other day where I'm looking to avoid the full order of tortellini. And so I ate only half of the full order and had the rest boxed up for a later day. But this sort of thing, it's like it could only happen on Ash Wednesday. And I find myself asking the question, why on Ash Wednesday, why? I was talking later to a friend of mine He had arrived late to one of his classes, he's in law school, and he was sitting in the back near the door, and next to him was an empty seat, the empty seat that someone would take if they were walking in late. And what happened? Well, a classmate of his, an attractive female, and she came in late wearing a scandalously low-cut t-shirt and sat in the empty seat right beside him. Because she had forgotten her notes, also forgotten to not wear a scandalously low shirt, she kept leaning over my friend's desk, wanting to see his notes, wanting to see where they were in the lecture. And here he was, having to stare at the ceiling to avoid the ample gaze right in front of his eyeballs. And he kept asking himself, Lord, today I'm trying to be pure of heart and pure of mind. Why is this now happening? Why on Ash Wednesday? Why? Another friend of mine, he was walking through the street, and he saw some friends of his. He was, of course, fasting. He couldn't eat meat on Ash Wednesday. And a friend of his said, "Hey, man, we've got some fresh pepperoni pizzas right here. We have way too much. We can't give them away. Here, do you want a free large pepperoni pizza?" And he shrugged and refused. Any other day would be like the greatest thing ever, but not today. Why on Ash Wednesday? Why? I could give you maybe a dozen other short stories about this Ash Wednesday. I remember myself in the cafeteria after the Ash Wednesday Mass. I, not escaping the vice of pretense and judgment, I couldn't help but look at the trays of the other people who had ashes on their forehead, checking their trays to see if they'd gotten meat or fish, hoping that, like me, they had gotten fish, because that's just what good Catholics are supposed to do, right? And so many of them, I saw them with hamburgers, spaghetti and meat sauce, Hawaiian meatballs on rice, if you can believe that for an Ash Wednesday meal. And normally I wouldn't think about what other people were eating. Normally I wouldn't care. Normally I wouldn't be motivated toward this vice of judging others without cause. But here I was doing so in the cafeteria. And I asked myself, why on Ash Wednesday? Why? But then I think back. I think back to the actual service. People receiving ashes and penitence before their Lord God. Sinners or not, well, we can forget the not. On this day, it seems like we're especially reminded we're all sinners. On this day, though, we all come together. And as I lectured at the Mass, I forgot the sheet with the petitions and looked stupid in front of everyone. And I asked, why on Ash Wednesday, why? But at the same time, on the altar will be offered to God the eternal sacrifice of Christ, who has brought us all here together. Why on Ash Wednesday? Why? I went back to my dorm after eating, and I had a conversation with another friend of mine, whose name is Alyssa. She has been very sick lately. She has a chronic disease, and I can't even begin to understand what that's like. Anyway, I asked her how she was doing, if she'd been sleeping well, how she was feeling on this Ash Wednesday, a day when most people, for sake of their religiosity, try to be downcast and penitent. And she said something very interesting to me. She said, "Since I'm rarely black and white, I'm always a mix of feelings. But being reborn in the Eucharist always burns away some space and fills me with a measure of peace. That's the reason for Ash Wednesday. And seeing her in her suffering, yet having some small measure of joy and some rebirth of peace within her soul, cognizant of the mission of Christ on earth, whose resurrection we await this season. I look at all of the difficulty we go through in Lent, trying to adjust our humanity to what our humanity should be in the light of God's incarnation. And in her charity and peace of soul, I at least have some form of answer to why Ash Wednesday. Why? While Easter may be far off, it may be easier to see Good Friday as the prelude to Easter than Ash Wednesday. But everything has a beginning, and everything must go one moment at a time, one step at a time. We go on trying to move towards love. And in that love, there is bound to be a little suffering and a little ashes in order to kindle the flame. Why on Ash Wednesday? Why? That has been this 4th edition of the Poets' Corner. I've been very glad to have you this evening. It's wonderful to have listeners and to be able to share what I hope is this beautiful content to you this evening. I would like to end this edition of the Poets' Corner with a poem by Theodore Bach, fitting for this time. It's called Lenten Crucible. Lenten Crucible. Before Lent, a Mardi Gras exuberance hides personal scars of indulgence and national acne of bigotry and greed under painted masks. An hilarity of rum psychic drunkenness bellows at integrity's sanity in the season's personal, national, make-believe, plagiarizing childhood's innocence. Like Mardi Gras in heated revelry, the national psyche burns in a crucible of scrutiny so intense its ultimate heat may separate the dross of lies and pretense from the gold of credibility in an epiphany of statehood at Easter. That's Lenten Crucible by Theodore Bach. And this has been episode 4 of the Poets' Corner. I have been your host, Micah Tui, signing off. And I would like to say, be at peace, good luck, and God bless you.